You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
I'm supposed to talk about Star Wars today, but I watched that Moon Knight finale. And I've seen some clips from Doctor Strange. There's just too much going on right now. It's hard to keep it all straight. But we'll talk Star Wars today on the damn Wickline Show. Stay tuned. All right, I assume everybody's awake now. That's our new opening, giving you an idea of some of the things we cover on this show. And yeah, I do like that music, though. Like that a lot more than the we had before. So, all right, folks. Today is May the 4th. Now, a lot of you probably stayed up, watched, or have caught Moon Knight. That's the big thing today, people coming off of that. But being May the 4th, Star Wars fans, we got a new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, which we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. We'll show it, and I'll talk about it as it's coming along, some of the things we see. But also we got Doctor Strange coming out this weekend. So there really is just a ton of stuff going on. I will break down the Moon Knight episode tomorrow. I want to give everybody a chance to see it, but definitely stay through or watch through the credits, at least the credits with the pictures and graphics in it, not the scrolling credits. So they've got mid-credit scene, which is really important and really brings up the issue of, was that a one-season show or not? What's going to happen with old Moon Knight next? Because it definitely leaves us on a, wait, what? So, but we will talk about that in depth tomorrow. This morning, also on Disney Plus, besides dropping the Kenobi trailer, they dropped the new Star Wars Gallery episode on Book of Boba Fett. So May the 4th. Why, thank you, Josh. Welcome to the show. Also with you, yeah. But I watched the gallery for Book of Boba Fett, and it's really interesting because there's such a sincerity. Book of Boba Fett was an odd series because of the way it told the story in the two different parts, but then suddenly left to become a Mandalorian series for 2 episodes and then came back. I mean, it was 7 episodes, but it really felt like 5 with 2 episodes of Mandalorian season 3 in it. That said, you watch that gallery show, and there's such a sincerity about everybody involved. And that's the thing, is you see it with Hollywood, you see it. We watch these things and we say, oh, we loved it, we hate it. Oh, that's the greatest movie ever. That's a horrible movie. Oh, my God. And with the internet and everybody basically being handed a megaphone to get their thoughts out there, or like one day you decide you're going to do a show with your own name on it and talk about stuff, everybody has to have a take. It seems that everybody has to bring something unique to the table. And for a lot of people, they substitute negativity for insight. You know, if they're down on it and they speak badly about something, then it'll seem like they're being, really insightful and earning their 10 seconds of fame. And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people who just go like crazy, just talking about how bad things, they get on their social media stuff and they hate everything. And Book of Boba Fett was kind of a response to that. People love it or they hate it, but there's almost this joy in hating things now, to come out and talk badly about something. And I don't get that. And I'm a victim of it myself. I laid pretty seriously into the series, the ABC Murders on Prime, because I thought John Malkovich's portrayal of Poirot was horrible and just disrespectful, and I went off about it for a couple days, and but you watch the behind the scenes stuff on that, and they all felt very sincerely that they were making a good thing. JD, I'm not specifically calling you out. Maybe.
No, that was me.
Oh, Kyle. Yeah, Kyle, come on. If you're ready, come on, join me. Nice.
Yep, it's my generic Sith hood.
Yes. We need a Sith name
I can't
for
do it.
you.
Hot in this house for have the hood up.
Yes. I was going to call you Darth Grumpicus.
I like it.
Yeah.
Darth Beardy. I'm good with that one too.
But yeah. Did Book of Boba Fett seem to get an extra lot of hatred?
You know what I'm going to say now, right?
You think it was deserved?
I think the Boba Fett episodes were bad. I think the Mandalorian episodes and Book of Not Legally Mandalorian were good. Like it's one of those things, is that there was part of it that it's, you say you're going to do a Boba Fett series and then you make Boba Fett not great. And then you do episodes of that show where it's the Mandalorian and they're incredible.
Yeah.
And if that's going to be the thing, then you're going to get the hate that you kind of deserve.
No, it's true, but it just seems like people go out of their way to hate now. Because it used to be, oh, I read a comic, I didn't like it, I put it away, I got rid of it, I didn't buy the next one.
Well, there's a level of people want to have hot take theater, right?
Yeah.
It comes from sports radio is where it comes from. I remember the first time I ever heard of it were the guys on sports radio going, oh, LeBron is not even in the top 5 best players of all time, or top 10. They were trying to have a hot take on LeBron or a hot take on whatever sports thing.
Yeah.
Well, now it's come into pop culture, and it's people want to have a hot take on, oh, this thing everyone loves is bad.
Yeah.
And I've been flat out accused of that because, and we've talked about this, I don't like a lot of the comic book movies. But we've talked about the reason I don't like them, right? Is in large part, they're not for me.
Right.
So when I say, oh, I don't like them or they're not good, it's not me saying that I'm saying it to be controversial. I'm saying it because, in my opinion, they're not what they need to be.
But I'm seeing the same kind of hatred for Moon Knight. People seem to love it or they hate it. There doesn't seem to be that middle ground. There doesn't seem to be anybody that goes, I watched Moon Knight. Not for me. Thanks. It's Moon Knight. Oh my God, they're ruining it. Oh, this is not I don't get it. But because we look at these fandoms, and these are the fandoms we grew up on.
And it's interesting with Moon Knight. I haven't watched it. Right? I watched the first 5 minutes of the first episode and was like, one, I need to be able to sit and watch this in a dark room where it's the only thing I'm focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really do that when I was in the hospital or here at home. So I need to wait until I'm back to the office and I can turn everything else off and, focus on it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm perfectly prepared for it to be not for me. Because I like a very specific sector of Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like Moon Knight that much to begin with, but I like one very specific Jeff Lemire story.
Okay. See, this may be exactly for you.
Right. But I'm prepared for it not to be because I know nothing.
Right. See, for me, Moon Knight is the Doug Moench, Bill Sienkiewicz run with Hatchet Man and Bushman, and there's no person, DID. These are just aliases. This is basically him as the Shadow. And
right, and I like the Bill Sienkiewicz art, but like the story wasn't for me.
Yeah, where that's what I grew up on. I was reading those when they were coming out. So I went into this. This isn't the Moon Knight that I grew up with, but I could put that aside and look at the series for what it was. And my God, is there some acting in this?
Right.
I mean, Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, May Calloway, all of them are just absolutely phenomenal. But there are a lot of people going out and, you go online and every other tweet or every other post is, oh, I watched it, it was horrible. Oh my God, it was awesome. Oh, it was horrible. It was awesome.
Right. So JD has kind of graciously pushed us back to Star Wars from Boba Fett or from Moon Knight. And he's not wrong. The problem with these new stories in old universes, people don't realize what they want. They want to feel like they did when they were kids, and they're not kids anymore.
Right.
And I will say this, and we can get into some of the nitty gritty of individual Star Warses if you want. But I took a long hiatus from Star Wars fandom after the let's see what it was. It was Rises. What was the second one in the last three?
Last Jedi.
After Last Jedi. Because Star Wars fandom got so toxic that I'm just like, I no longer want to be associated with this. So I took a long break, and I'm sure I went and saw Rise of Skywalker, but didn't talk about it, didn't wear Star Wars clothes, didn't do any of that kind of stuff. Just I will go see it because it's a pop culture movie, but I'm not a fan of Star Wars. And it took me until I watched The Mandalorian to get back into, all right, yeah, I'm a Star Wars guy. To be willing to re-enter the fandom.
I've got almost the same story. I went and saw, what was the first one of the last three? Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
I went and saw Force Awakens and was just so disappointed in it that I didn't see the other two in theaters. I waited until they were on, and I didn't even get around to watching Rise of Skywalker because I watched I got the Last Jedi on disc when it came out and was like, oh God. And then when I finally saw Rise of Skywalker, it just, and it was well after it came out. And a lot of it is, for me, was the disassembling of the ending of the original trilogy. I would have liked those movies a lot better had they never brought Han, Chewie, Leia, and Luke into them.
Sure.
Because...
And that's a common conceit.
Yeah, I grew up with the happy ending that we got in Return of the Jedi, and then suddenly it wasn't a happy ending anymore. Luke had failed as a Jedi Master, making his school. Han and Leia were no longer together. Their kid has turned evil. None of that was justified to me, and wasn't necessary. And I also hated Kylo Ren as a villain because I felt like he was just emo kid.
A friend of mine made a meme where he put my head on Kylo Ren's body today and made him Irish, Kyle Oren. And I almost blocked him. I almost unfriended this person because of it. And here's my and JD Smith I think has a valid point there. And we'll come back to it. But the thing about the Force Awakens for me, do you remember everything that went into the Force Awakens before and around it? Like, so for my generation, this was the first Star Wars movie we could pay to see with our own money. Like, you know, the previous three, the prequel trilogies, all came when we were young, small children. Like I couldn't drive yet when the third of those movies came out. So like somebody had to take me to the theater. And while I may have been paying with my allowance or whatever, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I can go see it with my money and I can spend my grown-up income money on Star Wars stuff. Right? Like it was a thing. And The Big Bang Theory had an episode where Leonard Wolowitz and Raj go see Star Wars with Will Wheaton, go see the Rise of Skywalker or the Force Awakens with Will Wheaton while Sheldon loses his virginity to Amy. Like, and they cross them as both being equally important to people's lives. Like everything in the world was the Force Awakens. I went with 25 friends. We bought a whole row of seats in the theater to see it.
I went to people bought the theater,
right?
And same thing. I went to a theater of just people we all knew,
right? Like the whole world was the Rise of Skywalker, or was the Force Awakens. Yeah. And by the time we went to Rise of Skywalker, I wasn't telling my friends I was going to see Star Wars. And I put a lot of that on, was it Rian Johnson, who directed the second movie, for not fully understanding what... There's a few things there. He didn't fully understand what Star Wars fans wanted. He didn't get the chance to make what he thought he was going to make. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so it's not entirely his fault, but who else am I going to blame, really? I mean, I can blame Kathleen Kennedy and all these other people, but like, really, he was setting up something that we didn't know he was setting up.
Yeah.
And the fandom got to the point where it was just eating itself. And so, like I said, it took Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who are people who I respect as nerds, like more than as actors and directors, I respect them as nerds, coming along going, no, we got this, and fixing it in a large way. Well,
but that's the thing, is the way they fixed it, as I think what the big problem was, is that J.J. Abrams did the first one?
Yeah, it was Jar. And you know, that's when I started making that joke. If it's bad, we start calling him Jar Jar.
Well, I think he looked back to try to make a movie based off the other movies, where Filoni and Favreau specifically, went back and looked at the inspiration that Lucas had to make the movies. That's why Mandalorian is so good.
Right.
It's going back to the Westerns and the samurai movies instead of going back and looking at the other Star Wars movies.
So, yeah. So I think there are some comments here we should probably address here. JD Smith, any story that dismisses the efforts of the previous entry is a huge mistake you figure creatives would avoid. Alien 3 instantly comes to mind. I think Alien 3 instantly comes to mind anytime you're talking about filming mistakes. You know, almost like Spider-Man 3.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not wrong. And I don't mind the whole undoing of the happy ending. Because in life, when you have a happy ending, eventually you're going to have a not happy thing happen to you. Like, that's just part of existence. So having that happen doesn't bother me as much. You know, it's all good here, but 20 years in the 20 years following, stuff happens. Right? So like I'm willing to accept that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to feel like they were going to retell one of those movies and then just rip it apart like they did was maybe unnecessary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Much like Batman Forever, big mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think we look at Joel Schumacher's Batman films and we say, oh my God. But if you really look at them in context with the Tim Burton films, they weren't that far apart. The Tim Burton films weren't as great as people remember them.
Well, and you know, and I just always remind people that when the Schumacher movies came out, that's what every freaking movie was, man.
Yeah.
Like they were all just so plastic and weird.
Yeah. All right, we need to take our first commercial break. When we come back, let's take a look at the new Kenobi trailer, and then I want to talk to Kyle about how Star Wars came into our lives, and get some of your guys' opinions on that too. Me being the old man here, it should be interesting, but let's take that break. We'll be right back.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula. You want the comics? You buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
All right, so we are back. It's the Dan Wickline Show. We've got some great stuff coming up today. We'll be followed by Rex and Johns with Comic Collectibles, and they will be doing a lot of different stuff, including what are you doing?
Short on the sides.
The new opening, you can see.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are your files not the right size, Dan?
Because just noticed, I was kind of poking my head around and looking at people too. So people like the new opening, but
I'll put a thing behind it and export it for the 6th time.
Well, okay.
This is how people become Jedi or become Sith.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer that dropped today. There's some really great stuff. We're going to do it without the sound, though, so we don't get copyright problems. We're going to talk for it.
You know, I learned a new thing about this that I will talk to JD about after the show is over.
What's
That is an interesting workaround for this problem.
Huh.
You put a graphic over it. So we put the Dan Wickline logo over it,
like
just in white with a clear background, so you can kind of see it.
Yeah, that's the Grand Inquisitor and one of them the brothers and the sisters, but it's Reva. That's Rupert Friend. Reva is being played by Moses Ingram. Of course, Joel Edgerton back as Owen. And that's definitely a relationship I want to see more of. The Ben Kenobi, Owen Lars relationship. But it looks like the nice thing is I was afraid this entire series was going to be on Tatooine, but it looks like we're going to get Dayu and Nur and Mustafar. So we are going to get a few other planets. Like Nur is a water planet. And then I love seeing Obi-Wan using a blaster. That was Kamal Najani, by the way. I love seeing Obi-Wan using a blaster because of how much he basically, talks crap about them in the prequels, and suddenly he has to use them because using the lightsaber is going to be just bad news for him.
So, because we don't have sound, when it froze,
we didn't know.
Like, is it over? What's happening?
Things we see in it. We see the Grand Inquisitor. We get to see the fifth brother being played by Sung Kang. Again, the Grand Inquisitor, Rupert Friend. Inquisitor Reva, who I think is one of the sisters, the eighth sister, I think it is, Moses Ingram. They're playing Duel of the Fates over that entire thing, by the way. Which would be...
Yeah, then we definitely couldn't play the audio.
Yeah. But yeah, we get a few new locations. The main story is supposed to take, when it's on Tatooine, is supposed to take place in Anchorhead, which is interesting because we spend a lot of time in Mos Espa with Book of Boba Fett, and we spent time in Mos Eisley in the past. So we're by the time we're done, we're going to know all of Tatooine. We also have Mos Pelagos, which is now Freetown. It's just growing as we learn and learn more. Of course, Hayden Christensen's coming back for Darth Vader. Ewan McGregor, you may have heard of him. He's going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wait. Is it Ewan or Ewan?
Ewan. I've always heard it as Ewan.
All right, I'm going to need a minute. This is like Jerry, Gary, Larry, Harry, Terry, Gergich.
JG says the actual pronunciation is Brenda. So Brenda McGregor. We don't know who Kamal Najani is playing, but in the one quick little clips, it kind of looks like he's wearing some Jedi robes. Which there's a voiceover where Obi-Wan is talking to somebody, talking about how they're going to have to stay hidden and stuff like that. And it sounds like he's talking to a Jedi. And of course, Luke is way too young, and that doesn't work for the story. So maybe Kamal Najani is playing a Jedi, another Jedi, which means that Kamal Najani is having the greatest geek year ever. So he's in an MCU movie, then he's in a Star Wars movie. He gets to play a superhero and a Jedi. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too.
Yeah.
If I'm being real honest, like there's something to this idea of people wanting to be in the Star Wars universe that I just love. Mm-hmm. Right? Like what was it? Daniel Craig just called up his buddy who was directing Star Wars and was like, "Hey man, can I be a Jedi?" And they're like, "No, but you can be a stormtrooper." okay, Kevin Smith is a storm. Like, people who like Star Wars are just like getting to be stormtroopers now.
Yeah.
So there's something to that I love. And the fact that these universes are expanding and we're getting so much more content in them means that there are chances for bit parts, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And we're seeing that a lot in The Mandalorian. I mean, first thing, I love the fact they brought in the actual 501st for the season, the last 2 episodes, because they didn't have enough stormtroopers and couldn't really have the budget to do the amount of armor they needed. So they just called in the 501st, who were happy to show up. But then you also get guys like Mark Hamill's just doing stray voices.
mhm,
John Leguizamo shows up.
mhm.
Who was it? The 2 guys that played the speeder bike troopers in season 2 that beat up Baby Yoda.
I don't remember.
Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis and I can't remember the other one. Dan and Kyle can be in Star Wars now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm just waiting for my call to run the puppet as a future Hut. I'd be perfectly happy.
I guess I get to be the puppet of the future Hut.
I mean, or like, if they can buy enough Rogaine, I could maybe play a Wookiee.
Yeah.
We had a bumper here on the experience for a while that says, what I had a dream I went to a costume contest naked, and they thought my Wookiee costume was very realistic. That's my life. So, you know, I don't know.
What did you think of the trailer?
I have no thoughts on the trailer, and I'll tell you why. I tried really hard not to watch it when we were showing it. And you know this, I don't watch trailers.
I know.
Because I come up with fan theories and I start equating things. However, to see Ewan McGregor, because I'm not going to change it, it's Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan just makes my heart happy.
Mine too.
Right? Like, it's one of those things is that, like, I tried not to, you were going through and you were doing a good job of calling out the little details that people need to notice. And I'm trying my hardest not to look. Just to go, okay, Dan says this is here. Okay, great. Dan says this is here. Okay, great. I'm trying my hardest not to look because I don't want to have that kind of a thing. But 9-year-old Kyle is freaking the frick out, man.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I watched this and I think they do a really good job of setting the mood, which I think is 90% of what a trailer has to do.
Right.
Give you just enough to get you excited and to get you to feel like it's the thing again. And
I don't play the oboe, Jay.
So I think it sets the mood. It gives us enough little moments without giving it. They do not give the plot away here, which I think is awesome. That's always the worst thing about a trailer. When you watch the trailer and you go, well, I know what that series is about. Yeah, I like how Marvel's been doing it too, where it's like, yeah, we showed you all these scenes from the first 2 episodes. There's another 4 episodes you don't know nothing about, but here are the first 2. So I'm curious how much of the series, or are we basically doing the same thing here, where we're getting clips from the first 2 of 6, which I would be very happy with because, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And if all of that in the first 2 episodes, awesome.
It's my sincere hope in this movie that what we get, or in the show, I should say, that what we get is an honest kind of run up to an explanation for the decisions that were made in the prequels. Right? Like, I think so. And my recall on this, a lot of it is based on Weird Al's The Saga Begins. So we're just going to, you know, we meet Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan kind of in this situation that in the first movie that is already, the die has been cast. So anything that happens before then, I want them to get me to there, right?
Mhm.
So we come out of the prequel movies and we kind of understand what happens between them and A New Hope.
Yeah.
But explain to me why the decisions at the end of that movie were made the way they were made to get us to this next movie where they had no idea what these decisions were going to be beforehand, right?
It seems that Dave Filoni wants to do two things. Is his goal in life seems to be to make people understand that the prequel series were great. And all the little plot holes and all the things that people don't like, he's going out of his way to fix. With the Clone Wars, with the Bad Batch, and now, with Mandalorian, all these series, he's trying to make. I mean, they brought an N1 starfighter in just to remind you guys how cool they were in the movie. Whether you thought they were cool or not, he wants you to know they were cool.
Right.
So, God damn it, Mando's gonna fly one.
And like for me, in the prequels, General Grievous was the most wild and crazy, awesome thing we'd ever seen, and Darth Maul just right. But like now, as an adult, I don't understand the decisions you made at the end of what was it, Attack of the Clones?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the decisions you made here, knowing where you were going. So what I really want is some explanation there. And I think we're going to get it. And I think the fact that Ewan McGregor is being de-aged to look like that, even though that man doesn't age very much.
No,
Like,
and he has to age up to look like what Ben's supposed to look. Yes, thank you. Perfect.
Right, exactly. You have to age up to look like, is that Alec Guinness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Sir Alec Guinness.
His Royal Majesty, Alec Guinness. Like, him, Peter Cushing, and, well, really him and Peter Cushing, like, for real. But, greatest British actors to ever live. But I just want to, there are two threads I'd like to see come through.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get to nobody knows this guy's a Jedi? Like, because Owen clearly knows. Does Owen forget? Yeah. What is happening? How is this secret being kept this way? And two, how do we get from the Empire is kind of where it's at the end of the JD, do not do this to me. The end of Attack of the Clones to where the Empire is at the beginning of A New Hope. Peter Cushing lives in Whitstable. I have seen him on his bicycle. I have seen him buying vegetables. Peter Cushing lives in Whitstable.
What the hell is that?
There's a song written by a band. I can't remember the name of the band. But they lived in Whitstable, England, where Peter Cushing lived. And so they wrote a song about seeing freaking Dracula just riding his bicycle to the market to buy vegetables. And it's like the most punk song. But JD and I discovered it while watching QI with Stephen Fry.
Nice. So the thing about him being a Jedi, the only people that know that he's a Jedi on Tatooine are Owen and Bert.
Right.
Because he didn't get out of the ship. He stayed in the ship. Qui-Gon is the one that dealt with everybody.
Yeah, but like I said, I just would like to see that through line, right? Like, how are they keeping that secret? Because it can't be an easy secret to keep.
But, okay, you got to remember that Jedi are fables at that point.
But if you know one and bad stuff's happening, how do you not call them? It's like if you know a cop and someone breaks into your house, how do you not call your friend the cop?
Well, there is one story that takes place between the two that is canon. And that is when Jabba decides to raise water rights, and Owen stands up to him, and Jabba sends Black Chrysanthemum out to deal with Owen, and Ben shows up to take care, or Obi-Wan shows up to take care of it.
Right.
That's why.
Now that we have Black Chrysanthemum in the world,
Good chance he shows up.
This is what I mean, Dan. I want this story to happen.
Yes.
Like, I want that thread. So,
by the way, another character who looks like he's appearing in the trailer, I forgot to mention him. Forlone, one of the bounty hunters from Empire.
like I said, I just, I have a couple of things I want, and I'm going to try not to learn anything else about this show till it happens.
I understand.
So there will be several episodes where it's like, hey, text me when you're ready to go to commercial break.
You'll probably be doing that tomorrow when I talk Moon Knight too, but we'll have JD for that.
JD tomorrow.
Yeah. You just don't want to be here tomorrow at all.
I may start tomorrow. Luckily, most of my family will be gone, so I can watch it here in peace and be left alone. So maybe I'll watch it tomorrow. It's only 6 hours?
Yeah, a little less. End credits scene in the last episode only.
I heard. All right. So you said we were going to talk about how Star Wars came into our lives.
Yeah. Now,
how did Star Wars come into your lives?
In a very strange way. My mother was a manager. My mother worked at Kmart. She started as a cashier, ran jewelry department, ended up becoming a store manager or assistant manager, moved into HR. So she was there for years. When I was 7 in 1977, my father took my brother and I down there, and we had lunch with my mom in the Kmart cafe.
I had TikTok.
What?
Go ahead. I have to send you a TikTok.
Oh, and we had our allowance, and I was looking for something to spend my allowance on, and my brother saw this end cap of these new figures we'd never seen before. He said, but you could get 2 of them for the money you've got. So I went over and I saw this display of characters for this thing called Star Wars I'd never heard of, and picked the 2 that I thought were the most interesting looking and bought them and took them home with me. And the 2 I got were Chewbacca and Darth Vader.
The correct choices.
Thank you. Got more and more of these figures. My mom ended up, when the new stuff would come in, she'd hide it for me because there was a guy at her work named Gil who was collected as well. So she would try to get there first before Gil got there so she could get the figures I needed. The funny thing is that Gil ended up becoming my comic book connection. Would go to the comic shop, buy my books, and bring them home for me. He took me to my first convention where I met Walter Koenig, Carolyn Monroe, and Jack Kirby. And he is one of the earliest cosplayers. He was the guy that always showed up dressed as Homer Simpson at San Diego Con when it was still a new thing. And Matt Groening and them would hang out, kind of let him hang around the booth and stuff because he looked so good.
Awesome.
So that's how I got into Star Wars. I didn't see it when it first released, but a few months later they put it back in theaters, and I went and saw it then. So I saw it probably in like July or August of 77. I saw Empire. A friend of the family took us one night. We didn't even know it was out. She just went, Dan, Jeff, come on, we're going to go see a movie. We're like, okay. And the Vader head thing freaked me out. I was 10 years old watching Vader take his mask off in front of the Emperor. And then at 13, when Return of the Jedi came out, my mother got tickets and got us out of school early to go see it. So we were like the first showing on the day it opened. And I was a fan ever since. I kind of lost my way with the Force Awakens, but got it back with The Mandalorian. And I really like wondering why I don't own a lightsaber type of, I don't doubt that. And I don't know why I don't have one.
I have
I've
one
got
with an
Thor's
orange.
hammer, shield.
I have one from Custom Saber Shop that's an orange blade. And I have one from, there's another place like Custom Saber Shop, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I apologize. That we just replaced with a black. So it's a black light, so it kind of shines blue, but it's supposed to be the black saber.
Dark saber.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We need to take a quick break. When we come back, Kyle will tell us how he got into Star Wars. Be right back.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, everybody, we are back here on The Experience with the Dan Wickline Show. Remember, stick around for collectibles with Rex and John coming up right after this. They've got some Star Wars books. They've got some Doctor Strange books. I think there's a movie coming out this weekend about Doctor Strange. I don't remember.
No, that's not in the timeline.
No. But, Sean, I couldn't imagine my first experience with Star Wars being on the TV. It's something that should be on the big screen,
Well, get ready.
I think there should be theaters in every country that, or in every city that show Star Wars movies, MCU movies, the things that you should experience on the big screen, and Rocky Horror Picture Show at night. That should be a regular thing. That's all they do,
JD, you should look up the orange saber in Star Wars lore.
All right. So, Kyle. I can't remember the name now. I was going to ask if you have a younger brother who turns out to be Canadian.
I don't.
What's Kyle's brother's name?
I'm Daryl, and my other brother, Daryl.
Ike. Thank you.
Oh, from South Park.
Yeah, South Park. All right. So, how did Star Wars come into your life?
So I had never seen one of the original three. So A New Hope, Empire, or Return of the Jedi. Without commercials
Okay.
until I was in my mid-teens. Like, because I only ever knew them like on TNT and TBS on cable. Like, that was it. So I just remember like maybe my dad would put them on TV, like they'd be on and he would just leave it on because there was nothing else on, or we were waiting for golf or something to come on and leave them on. You know, it was one of those kind of things, as they just were on.
Yeah.
And I remember going, oh, this is cool. And I kind of dug Chewbacca, you know, so I was into that. And then I went and saw the Phantom Menace in theaters. I don't remember. I think I saw the Phantom Menace in theaters. Was the first Star Wars movie I'd seen in theaters. And ever since then, it's just kind of been an unhealthy obsession. And then when I was a teenager, I found a friend who had the original VHS tapes, or maybe it was the Betamax versions. I don't know, because I know I've seen them on every format they've ever been released on.
Laserdisc?
I actually have the Laserdiscs at the office right now. I don't have a Laserdisc player, but they look really nice sitting on the shelf.
We watched the Laserdisc every day for an entire summer when I was in high school.
Yeah. But so, you know, I've seen them all. And it just has been an unhealthy obsession. Collected all the toys, collected all the, you know, different kind of ephemera. For my 30th birthday, I was gifted the Hasbro Child's executioner staff from Force Awakens. Like, that was what I wanted for my birthday. But then, yeah, I like we were talking about earlier, I walked away for a minute after the second of the most three recent, and just kind of was like, no, screw it, I'm done. Went and saw the last the Rise of Skywalker, which for months I just refused to call Rise of Skywalker. I just kept calling it the Return of the Skywalker, like it was the Return of the Mac. And you know, just kind of was like, whatever. And then Mandalorian happened, and I said, I am no longer a Star Wars fan. Then the stupid experience launched, and Kyle has to come on to television and talk about the Mandalorian. So I watched it all, like 2 seasons in like 3 days. It just went, oh my God. Like when the end of the second season, when the X-Wing flies up, I just was in my office, and like the neighbor from the suite came over and knocked on the door going, are you okay? Because I was like screaming at the television. So that was what brought me back in. And then I was really kind of on like everything Star Wars. I was buying as much as I could. I was collecting everything. And then Book of Not the Mandalorian happened, and I cooled again.
Oh man, I was actually I saw that final with Lisa, and I had already seen it, but she saw Luke for the first time, and must have said a good 24 times, "Mother effing Luke Skywalker," without the effing,
Right.
not edited.
Right.
And she said it so many times, her kids ran in from the other room. Like, what?
Right. So there's a comment here that I think is interesting. From Go On John Go On over on Twitch. I've not seen any Star Wars, which I recognize that there's a segment of the population that has not seen Star Wars. I don't understand them. But I figure it's a product of a certain age group. The special effects now to a Gen Y X is lame and hard to buy into. I guess at its time was awesome. Well, I am a millennial. I might identify as Gen X, but I'm a millennial. Like, I think the thing about Star Wars is that it has to, and you tell me this, Dan, because of your experience, it has to find you at a certain place in your life.
Yeah.
Like either an age like it did for us where we have no problem suspending that, gee, we can see the wires kind of, disbelief, or the storyline has to speak to some sort of ingrained thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I have met plenty of friends who've gone to see Star Wars who are just like, it's a good movie. Doesn't speak to me like it does to you. I'm not going to go and spend thousands of dollars on lightsabers. So I think it has to find you in a certain way, right?
Yeah. My 78-year-old mother had never seen any of the Star Wars. When she had seen, she saw Return of the Jedi when she took me to see it. That was her extent. She decided about a year ago that she wanted to watch them. So we watched all but the last 3 movies. We pretended they didn't exist. And she watched The Mandalorian. And now she's got a Grogu on her desk. She's got 2 Grogu t-shirts. Just absolutely loves The Mandalorian. Liked all the other movies, but loved The Mandalorian. And The Mandalorian really clicked for her. And I think it's I was watching an interview with Mark Shepard yesterday, and they were asking him about doing Doctor Who. Mark Shepard, Supernatural.
Yeah, I'm like the guy who's the voice of the BBC.
And he said that basically your favorite Doctor Who tends to be the one you watch first.
Yeah, okay, I can give you that.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it comes from. I think if your first experience with Star Wars is The Mandalorian, great. If it's the prequel series, the sequels, the prequels, whatever it is, there are gateways into it. So if you're willing to open your mind to it, you'll find your love. Now, it may not be Luke and Han and Leia. You may be the guy that thinks Poe Dameron is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You may love Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul. It really depends on when. I think it really depends on when you open your mind to it. But it is like a big universe. And I think all big cohesive universes are like that. With Marvel, there are so many entry points. There are people who are going to watch Moon Knight, and that's going to be their first show they've ever watched. Just like, first person who, somebody's going to watch Captain America. That's their first one. And then they get into the larger thing. So I think if you're willing to give it a shot, you'll find your entry into Star Wars.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where you start, just start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or find a thing that most appeals to you and start there.
Yeah.
In terms of action or storytelling or whatever.
Nick is right. Please hit the like buttons on YouTube and Facebook and whatever you do on Twitch. I think you have to twerk on Twitch.
No, you click the little Android in the emoticons thing.
Okay. Subscribe and you'll find out when we're doing the show regularly and all the other great stuff on the experience, like Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, which is going to be coming up here in just seconds. So I got to wrap this up. Tomorrow we talk Moon Knight season finale. Next week we'll be talking about Doctor Strange and whatever else comes to mind. So, yes, sir.
And real quick, John, go on. I see you asking about the Fight Club 2 comics. Come back maybe to this show next week, and Dan and I can kind of circle back around on that for you, man. I think that's something that'd be fun for us to dive into. So we'll be here.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. May the 4th be with you.
And also with your Force Ghost.
Yes. Stick around for great stuff all day long here on The Experience. Talk to you tomorrow.